Hello everyone, hope you guys are doing fine. Another video today, and it's a bit of a different topic, a bit different than the typical forex stuff that I talk about. So I'm going to be mentioning some points around this topic of why invest in Pakistan, and here I'm specifically talking about the stock market. Of course you have the real estate as well, and other places to invest, but I'm going to be talking about the stock market. First of all, the currency. So the currency is super weak. So if you would like to have an idea, like a US dollar equals around 150 approximately rupees currently, Pakistan rupees. So yes, the currency differential makes a huge difference, and you're able to afford a huge, you could build quite a large portfolio. You could buy a blue chip stock in the Pakistan stock market, which doesn't really, compare to a blue chip in another country. So the currency makes a huge difference. So the place where I stay at, the currency differential makes up for a good amount. That's one of the factors. The second point for me is that it's a developing nation. It's underdeveloped, if you'd like to call that. So what that means is that there's a huge room for advancements in so many fields, right? While this is all risky, you might stay in this bad phase all your life, but there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of advancements to happen. Depending on the political scenario and the situation in the country, if things do improve, there's a lot of room to grow, generally speaking. So yes, it's a developing nation. There's a lot of things that can be done. So I think there's a lot of growth potential. The third point is that there's a lot of foreign investments going on in Pakistan, despite the fact that it's a super fragile nation in terms of security and stability. Primarily, the Chinese are super interested. I don't know if you've heard of the Silk Road that goes all around Pakistan, and the primary goal is to facilitate the Chinese trade. As a result, it's going to build a lot of infrastructure and improve things. So it's a bit of a tricky one here, because a lot of people do think that this way the country is losing its own sovereignty, and with the Chinese mentality, it's kind of an occupation thing as well, where they will build you an infrastructure. They're probably going to take over a lot of your areas too and occupy you somehow. And the loan that Pakistan would have to pay back to the Chinese is pretty high. It's called the CPEC project, I believe, which is basically for this trade route that runs from China towards the ports of Pakistan. So yes, there's a lot of foreign investment. Recently there was investments from Saudi, from Qatar, from the Gulf. So there's some foreign inflows, which shows me again that there is room to grow, a lot of room to grow. The stock market is quite volatile in Pakistan. In the past year or so, after the government's changed, things have fallen down a lot, but it was, I think, in one of those indices. It was one of the emerging markets, I think 2 years back. So the markets performed really well. The index high was around 55,000, I'm not sure, but it now is currently at around 33,000. That's the index, and it has fallen a lot. You can see it's almost halved. So again, a lot of room to grow. It's a very volatile market, so if you want to make the gains, it's definitely a place to look into. The fifth point, which is in relation to the previous point, that the markets had been doing pretty good in the last government, and so there's a lot of shakiness, a lot of negative impact from the new government. Again, I hope that this is just a transition period, because it was pretty much a big deal with a lot of politicians getting in trouble and being jailed and stuff. So yes, there's a lot of room back to the upside. It was in one of the emerging markets where they choose some of the good performing stock markets from around the world, and they place them in certain lists, and the Pakistani stock market was in one of them. So now, when everything is pretty red and there's huge losses everywhere, and I have been trading in the stock market for quite some time. So for me, like, moments like now are optimum to reduce my average and get into more shares and stuff. So I will probably talk more in detail of what shares I'm holding, maybe in another video, depending on what you guys think of this topic. We can discuss more. But yeah, you know, when there's fear in the market, when there's, as they call, bleeding everywhere on the market, on the streets, it's red everywhere, and you know, people have lost money and stuff. It's, if you have funds, it's definitely a good time to buy into such a market where there is a lot of room to go up and there's a lot of room to make money. You have to be cautious and you have to plan well, and I think there's a lot of room. So these were some of the reasons why I invest in Pakistan, and we'll probably talk more in detail later on. It's the first time I talk about investing in the stock market, because I normally do stuff in forex actively. So yeah, we see how it goes. Do let me know what you guys think of the stuff that we mentioned, and I'd really like to have an interactive session with you guys, and let's see how it goes. See you around.